What's up, team? Another week, another episode of Journey with Michael and Ryan. Hope you are having a beautiful day wherever you are listening to us, wherever in the world, whatever time, whatever date, who knows, but we get to earmark and put a stake in the ground right here today, sitting in our studio, recording this podcast as we do every week, and we absolutely love it.
Totally. It's quite interesting. So you said to me the other day that you went back and listened to like the first episode.
Yeah.
And I went back and listened to the first episode. And it's so interesting to see how far we've come, and like even the viewpoints that we had back then, 80 episodes ago. So, nearly a year and a half, which is pretty crazy to think. And it's just dope to see the growth, to see like the way in which we changed, how our views are changing, how our journey has evolved. So it's a beautiful thing.
It's cool, man. I thought the same thing. How we do so well at having a structure of what we believe and how we want to see the world and all of that, but still not being dogmatic about it. And when new information comes in, or a new way of wanting to see the world, or we've done some deeper work on ourselves, we've moved through something, new people pop in, new things we're creating happen, and those belief structures shift and change. And I thought the same thing after listening to that first one, and just thought, wow, there were some things there that we were talking about that we've gone in and grown from, that I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh yeah, I hold that as an essence now, or a truth, totally. Yeah, which was very cool. And again, even just the way we conversated there, and everything's grown from it, which is really cool. So it was a nice little reflection. I thought the same thing.
Totally. So hopefully you guys can see our evolution throughout the podcast as well, if you are an avid listener and you're checking in every single week.
I thought I was going to get more cringe, actually.
Were you?
It wasn't too much.
There's a few cringies.
Yeah, there's a few.
Like, right?
Well, we were just so excited, man. We were just like so keen bean to just get it going. And we're like, yeah, let's just get it out. And we did.
I mean, the first 3 episodes didn't actually get released, did they?
No, we were sitting in our lounge. I think the first one actually got filmed on my old phone.
That's it. We had no audio. Hardly even had microphones.
We were both filming. Actually, we were both recording onto separate computers. We didn't even know how to put it together. Like our first 10 episodes got edited by our brother Ruben.
Totally.
We were on Ruben time, so we had to change that.
Yeah. The audio engineer, a beautiful craft, but reliance, easy to rely on yourself sometimes when there's deadlines.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. And what's cool, speaking about growth and evolution, is obviously relationships with ourselves, with us, with our network of people who are in and out of our lives, and that's just life. And romantic relationships, when we first started, you weren't even thinking about getting married, and now you sit here and you're deeply devoted into deeper marriage and relationship with Van. And
nearly been a year.
11
months.
Yeah, it would have, because actually when I was at your house yesterday, I was looking at your photos, and I was like, oh, that's right, we caught it at the end of winter.
Yeah. Because
there was still snow on the mountains.
September the 6th, and we're in August. Crazy to think, it's been a fast year.
Oh yeah. Man, that's a trippy earmark.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? We should celebrate that.
Oh, for sure. We'll be celebrating it at an expo. And then me and Van will celebrate it in November. The next weekend I have free. Nah, it's actually beautiful, because the work she's doing now, her days off are actually during the weekdays, so we'll actually be able to celebrate that and spend some time together, which is great.
And spending time together is needed, I've been in I wouldn't even consider it new now, but it seems new, because on the scheme of things, life moves fast. So it's been about 5 months.
Yeah.
In my new relationship, and as busy, and we're doing it apart. She lives in another city. I live here in Auckland, and we're always on the road. We've always got things going on. So it's about looking forward in the calendar and actually booking time out to spend together. And we just went away for the last 3 days to a place called Nelson and spent a few days together, which was really, really nice. And we're just starting to get to the point now where there's constant depth and trust being created, and so more of her is being shown, more of me is being shown, and it's starting to get into the gritty bits, grittier bits. They're like, which I'm here for it all. But those are the bits where I'm like, Oh, and she asked me a question when we were going for a walk the other day. She's like, "How many have you wanted to run away?" My answer was like, "Yeah, like so many times." I was a bit dramatic, like, "Hell yeah!" I'm like, "Look, actually, it's not that dramatic, but yeah, there's parts of myself that I'm like, oh, like, you know." But I'm choosing not to. I've seen where that goes. It's not something I wanted to go on that road anymore.
100%, and it's like that's the relationships can be such a path through evolution if that's why both of you are here. And like we've spoken about relationships many times, so there's a few different podcasts that you can sort of go back to or listen into if you want to go deeper into like specifics when we talk about specific love languages, attachment styles, if other like theories that we've learned around relationships, even, you know, open relating. But I guess now it's just an earmark of sort of where we are and how we're finding success in our relationships, and the way in which we choose to show up as men in our relationships, and like deeply go a little bit into that. Like, what does it mean to be a man in a relationship? How do you actually hold your partner in a safe container so that she can actually flourish as herself? Like it's going to be a beautiful episode.
Oh, big time. And very, very fresh on my brain.
Oh yeah.
After the last few days, which has drawn us closer together as well. And we learn more about each other through conflict, and you learn more about each other through vulnerability and the muckiness, and the fun times are always going to be fun, but it's in the muck where the fun times can become more elevated.
Totally.
Because the muck's not there.
Yep.
But yeah.
Well, it's a reasonably unique scenario with this relationship for you, because it's like, because contractually you actually weren't allowed to talk about it for those first few months because you're on the show and things like that, right? So it's like there were like little earmarks and touches here and there to, like, you know, give people cues that you were in a relationship outside of what happened on the show. But it's like now you can actually go into it and be like, oh no, I am in a relationship, this is what it is, this is what we're feeling, this is what we're navigating.
Yeah. Actually, just thinking about that, it's actually a trippy way to start it. It's a very unique way to start it. Going, oh, hey, look, you know, we're feeling very strong about this, and it just clicked for us when we first met, and we both just were ready for it. And I remember the time I was like, actually, hey, look, before we kind of go any further, I'll let you know I've got this show coming out that, you know, is a relationship show, and it's going to be on TV, and we finished filming whenever we did, and I don't know what's going to come from it. Who knows? We'll see. But it's going to be in the public eye. But I've contractually signed a thing that I can't publicly put out, that I'm seeing someone, because it'll, you know, go against the show and whatever the contract I signed. So that was a really interesting start. But in fairness, reflecting on it now, it just kept us in our own little bubble, which was really nice. It didn't allow any leakage in. It didn't allow anyone else's thoughts or opinions or ideas or anything, positive or negative, doesn't matter. I'm just saying, because then it was just us doing our thing and working through it together and growing together.
It takes away that pressure of like needing to announce or like needing it to be on social media and to like show these aspects of what's going on. It's like you do just in the experience for being in the experience.
Yeah. But I think that suited me really well anyways.
Probably.
You know, I don't feel like deeply personal stuff in my life, I don't feel like I need to announce it to the world, because as much as like it will just happen and it will just evolve naturally.
Yeah, totally. We were speaking about this beforehand. The Anchorman scene when he's like, I'm in love. I just wanted to scream it from a mountaintop.
But I didn't have a mountaintop. But I had a news studio. I've got a podcast studio. I could just yell it from the rooftops. So this is it. This is just speaking about in real time where we are in the beautiful essence of love, which is amazing, and it feels delicious. And the journey to get here has been a paved road of. It's like, and this is most things in my life. It's like when I have like this image of a fairy tale, you know, and you know you're walking up to the woods, and one side there's like a nice well lit sunny path, and there's little bunnies bouncing around, and it's really joyful, and there's a sun with a big happy face on it, and it's fucking singing tra la la, you know. But that path, it's a big windy path. Or you could take the left side, and it's these dark trees with no leaves just entangled over each other, and there's no light, and there's like eyes peering through the shadows, and and you can barely even see the path. And that seems to be the way that I always go down, but it seems to be the fastest route. It's it's not the shortcut, but it's certainly the path to get to the other side a lot faster, but it's the most treacherous one. And so the path to get here of who I am and in this conscious relationship has been down through that dark, murky road. But I needed to do that. The happy, fluffy stuff. That's the respondents of going down into the self.
It's the surface level aspects of relationships, where people are just, looking for the joy and the good things, or they're being brought together simply by, what's the word I'm looking for? It's fallen out of my mind. It's like at the tip of my tongue. But you've just sort of fallen into that relationship, and you're just looking for the good times because that's what you think a relationship needs to be like. You need it to be perfect without there being any issues or conflict. And the problem with taking that path is more often than not, someone will lose themselves, or both people will lose themselves in it. And then it will just build resentment, because you're not actually bringing truth to the relationship. You're not actually bringing yourself to the relationship. You're bringing who you think you need to be into that.
Yes. And I think as well, and this can go into any aspect of any relation, of any ship, friendship, whatever. If there's something that's on your heart, or something that's happened and you don't really want to move into it or say the thing because you know that they're going to get hurt from it. You're not doing it to hurt that person. And this is where then it comes back to intentional use of your language and your words, and what's the intention of saying something. But then those little things just build up, and they might be just little things. It might be just the
time you don't say something that may annoy you, or
and then you forget about it, and then you move on. It's okay, but then after a while they'll build up. So I just don't ever want to be in that space in my life, which I'm not. But when you're really relating with someone, they're seeing all of you, and you're starting to reveal all of you, and even the parts, we can all talk about fucking self-love till the cows come home, but there's still all parts of ourselves we're like, I'd really not want that out in the world, Totally. Let's not let this person see me. It's like, but then that's actually where the juice is. 100%. It's actually letting that part out and just being fucking laying yourself on the altar barren bare, and just being like, actually this is a part of me too.
100%.
Like this is, and for me, I'm very good at locking up that last little 10% of everything away. So I feel like I'm getting a lot better at kind of leaking that out now, and then the more I leak out, the more that percentage comes down, and then the more whole I feel.
Yeah,
and then that just leaks out into the rest of my life.
Totally, because the less you feel like you have to hide an aspect, or you feel like an aspect of you isn't good enough. Yeah. It's like, for me, it's like I still deal with like anger issues. Like there's still a part of me that hasn't fully resolved that, and it's like, and that shows up in my relationship, and Van knows and understands that, and when she does, she just gives me space, because she knows that it doesn't have anything to do with probably what's going on. It's like, it's a build up of things, and it's like anger, not in violence. It's more anger and like just frustration, or like outbursts, and for her, she like accepts that aspect of me, and for me that's even more beautiful, because then when it does happen, there's opportunity for me to be like, hey, look, I'm sorry about that. I don't have to ignore it, or it doesn't become something that it's not. So it really is just like about bringing all of yourself to a relationship, knowing that ultimately, if you are both looking for it to be a conscious relationship where you both have an opportunity to grow, these parts of yourself are going to show, because if you don't show them, then how are you actually going to grow from it? How are you going to build techniques around it? Or how are you going to notice the triggers before they happen, and then even just be like, hey, look, if we go down this path, like there's a potential for this to happen.
And then it just gives you the opportunity to see it as a pattern. Because fuck, man, we can all have a shitty day. We can all, get upset, or we can be a little we have, like, our capacity could be very low, and they just catch you off guard, or or you get caught off guard and something you trigger. It's like, okay, well it's happening in the moment, But if it's the case of, is it happening in the moment constantly? Then like, there's something I need to look at and speak about.
Totally. And it's the same. It's like something that me and Van still work with in her own journey is like, it sometimes takes her a while to like land on why she's feeling a certain way. And it's like, I can feel that she's feeling a certain way. I can see it. And so for me, it takes, the craftiness of being a facilitator and working with people a lot to be like, just poke and prod in a very delicate and subtle way. And then I'll be like, is it this? Or it's like, or you're feeling this way? Or is it because you miss this person? And, then she'll be like, fuck, yeah, that's it. That's where it's coming from. That's where the bottom line is. And then it gives her an opportunity, or us an opportunity, to talk about it and, resolve that thing, which is I love it. For me, I love it, because then she's like, gets all soft and cuddly, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still good at this.
Well, I think that's just a really good image of being a solid man in a relationship. And even you mentioned it before, and I'm really starting to get a good handle on this. Is just like fast owning a fuck up.
Totally.
And like I even have a great example. It happened yesterday before we left. I reacted to something, and it got me a little fired up. Not too much, and then we kind of parted ways for a bit, and we came back and we spoke and took a little time, sat down. And then I just was like, yeah, when I feel that there's a part of me that's like, oh, no, you gotta be right. I'm like, hey, look, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah. I'll own my part of this.
Yeah.
And then you can just feel the softness just happening. It's soften, and then you get to a point where it's like, oh yeah.
Well, it's one of those things. Would you rather be right, or would you rather be happy?
Oh, totally. But this is just me. This is just me seeing my dad in me.
You're like, fuck, I am just like him. God, I've done so much work.
Like he just loves to be right, and I'm like, man, it's
that apple don't fall far.
No, I'm like, no, I'm changing that, and so that actually just gives me the courage to say the things.
Totally. But if you weren't in depth in the depth of relationship to give yourself those opportunities, you wouldn't. You would just be like, no, this is how I have to be. If you're not seeing it as a vehicle for growth, and it's like all of us, your partner included. It's like she wants to grow. Like she's here to fucking grow. Like, and it's beautiful because you're both in this together.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, Van is growing in her own way, and the way in which she sees growth is a little slower than the way in which I see growth. Yeah. And for me, it's like I just have to accept that. She'll grow in her own way and in her own time, and it's like her dedication to growth because of who she is, like isn't as deep as mine, because it's like I see my growth as integral in the work that I'm doing and the dharma and the way in which I'm showing up. So if I there has been times in the past where I'm like, look, you're not growing fast enough for me, and it's holding my growth back. But then it's like, is it really, or is that just my ego being like, no, here's a reason to actually hold yourself back? So it's like, it's such an interesting thing to navigate, and I love it. I love all of it, and it's like the depth of the experience that we want to have in life is like it needs like constant refinement, because it's like there's not many things in life that I'm not willing to experience and be like, because why not? Like the normal life is so mundane. I can't do it. It sickens me. It frustrates me. So
it actually makes me sick. Physically as well. And
I just want to take risks. Like I don't mind it. I'm extremely, I'm not risk adverse at all. Realistically, like let's go.
We're really not.
No.
I definitely feel a lot more anchored in me. And what's and this is something that Van always used to get frustrated with me. She's like, Mike, she was a good, if I had a partnership for a few months, I'd be like, nah, I've got to end this,
Yeah.
She would just get mad at me. She'd be like, why? That one was good. I'm like, because it's not, I know me. I know what I'm searching for, the feeling. It's more than surface level stuff.
Totally.
They could be amazing on paper, but then as you said before, like the way in which we facilitate it, I can see a little thing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That if that's the little thing, like let's follow that path a little bit, and then there'll be another one, and there'll be another one. I'm like, okay, am I willing to accept this, or am I not?
Yeah.
Am I being met in all of this just as much as I'm being as I'm meeting? And then if there's a nuance to that, then I'm like, okay, hey, thanks. I've learned what I need to learn from this, and I'm going to go.
So what do you feel is been different in this current relationship? Like, what's made you feel that, or like see that, or like was there a moment when you were like, oh, okay, like this could be it, this could be this is the thing I'm looking for?
It wasn't a thing, it was a feeling.
No, that's what I mean. Like what was that feeling?
Well, the feeling is just being met, and someone who is putting the same output, curiosity, just balls on the line of life.
Yeah, totally. And someone, well, she doesn't lose herself in you as well.
No, she doesn't.
No.
But like the polarity that we have is very powerful. Like, because she's done a lot of her own journey work to get to here, and to where she, sorry, not to here, but to like where she is at her life, and so our intersection is very it's very equal. Is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Even though she's still a few years younger than me, but I think that in the way that I show up, like that balance is good, but she's amazing. She's like, Xiao's far more advanced than I am, like that's just women in general. Women are far more advanced than us. That's hands down my opinion, right? If a woman's on her path, she'll become far more advanced than any of us men, and that's great. Like that's like, bring your magic. Like that's okay. I will do what I can do.
Yeah.
I will keep doing my own thing.
Totally.
But keep bringing your own magic. They're magical creatures.
Yeah, well, she'll allow you to see blind spots in yourself as well, and not afraid to sort of call you out on it too.
No. And like there are parts she will wince a bit, and I'm like, no. Like I did a ayahuasca on Friday night, a beautiful ceremony, and Mother Aya was just taking me through like the aspects of relating and relationships where I'm at right now, and it was really beautiful. I wrote a really nice letter, and it was just actually about offering what I need and what I want. It was really, but it wasn't actually anything physical. It was actually just more, don't let me get away with some things when I say them to you, because and it can be tough for anyone to do that to me, and they're like, no, she'll try it, and be like, oh no, it didn't work. I'm like, no, don't get me waiting for it. And there was just more like, bring your magic to me, like, and I ultimately said I'd give you my heart, but be tender with it, because it's very tender. Be gentle with it. It's very tender. That's what I wrote. So this is where we're really relating really well. It's her needs and wants are already asked for, my needs and wants are already asked for, and they're just being met. And like her love's huge, man. Like, it's full on and it's intense. And so what this is really teaching me, and I think this is like a bottom line for this, that's really crafting into my nervous system. It's just choosing love. Like when, and like if I'm busy all day, she'll just send me messages, she'll send me voice notes, and nothing to be responded to, or if I didn't respond for a few hours or even till later on that night or whatever it is, if I've got some time, it wouldn't matter. But it just like keeps coming, and it just keeps coming and just keeps coming. And earlier on, not so much now, but earlier on when we first met, I was like, whoa, But I'm like, no, this is what you deserve. This is what you chose.
Totally.
And why are you? And this is the conversation I'm having with myself. Like, why are you? Why would you ever want to turn that down?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
I was like, why would you ever not want that?
Yeah.
Like, why would you not want a beautiful woman's love to constantly drown you? You know, and I know drown's not the right word, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. Like,
Totally.
to constantly be in you.
Yeah,
And so I was like, I just get curious about that part of myself.
Yeah,
I'm like,
for sure.
like, she's just an intense lover.
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
she's just got a lot of love to give, and
Totally.
she's chosen to give it to me, and I've chosen her as my woman, and like, how is that anything to be like, oh, you know?
Oh, too much love.
I know. So this is. I'll get to my point here now. Is what I'm saying is, being in this deep conscious relationship with a very self-aware, powerful woman who's got a lot going on in life, and she's got a big fucking personality, just like I am. It's teaching me to constantly choose it.
Yeah.
It's like choosing to accept that.
Yeah.
It's choosing to accept that. It's moving away from becoming how I feel in it, rather than, and then just going, no, I'm choosing this. I'm choosing to receive this love. I'm choosing to then go, okay, I'm going to respond with love.
Yeah.
You
know, that was a quote in my vows.
What's that?
It's making me look teary.
I know.
Actually. Oh my god. It was, marriage is waking up every single day and having and making a conscious choice to choose love.
Oh,
Oh,
that's it, man. That's it. And what's quite funny coming out of all this is our when we first did our rebirthing course, our teachers, I mean, they've got their viewpoints on life, and that's it, you know, which is powerful in all aspects of that. However, they would, you know, they really drill into you. It's like, love is just choosing. Love isn't that Disney bullshit. It's not that Disney porn. And I was like, yeah, I understand that, you know, and that got me on the path of starting to like take that on as an essence to work with and be more curious. But now I really understand it. It's when the things align, you know. I'm fucking so attracted to it, you know. She's a sexy fucking minx. I love it, you know. And so that's there. The openness and conversation is there. The polarity, the dance and the masculine feminine flow is there. So it's about just constantly choosing it.
totally.
It's constantly choosing it. And then what I'm seeing now is, because I've been single for so long, like I would say most of my life, I've had partners and things, not a lot, but, you know, and I've had lots of smaller ones, but I've just gone out and done things myself, you know, like I'm very able and happy just to do things on my own. So what it is now is, in that choosing, it's teaching myself to be in a new way, of wanting to think and have someone else to think about.
Yeah.
You know, she's got 3 kids as well. So moving in that path of, okay, cool, like, how can I show up as a good man, you know, for my partner, and, you know, and all of that comes with it. So it's definitely in the choosing. And even just now, we're just, you know, 5 months in, and we're just starting to get a little into more of the deeper, grittier stuff, you know. So there's feelings of like, oh man, like, oh, this sucks. It's like, no, you still choose love, because love isn't the feeling.
No.
Love isn't the good times only. Love isn't the elation. Love isn't the ecstasy of sex. I mean, it's all of it, but it isn't just that.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
choosing, and it's like choosing to love the parts of themselves that other people aren't willing to show most people. You know, because in a relationship, you see that you see the depth of a human. You see how they act in the challenging times, the tough times, when there's, you know, after being in a relationship for nearly, you know, 6 and a bit years now, and like me and Van are moving into, you know, more adulting things. It's like, you're like, okay, fuck, you there's like a a different pressure that we haven't had before now that we have, 2 fucking mortgages. And, I've stepped away from engineering and we're focusing on beta full time, where money's a little bit tight and there's those financial pressures, and you can see how they get to you, and they bring up little things, and it brings up wounds of her past, and it brings up, the relationship that and the marriage that she's been in before, where he didn't support her at all. And I'm ultimately right now be like, hey, look, it's going to be a few months where I need you to support me financially. I need you to do that for me. And for her, it's a little challenging, and it's bringing up some stuff, and it's good, because let's sit in this, because we want to live a really, really big life. And if we're wincing over a few $1,000s, when we're wincing over $100,000, it's going to be the exact same thing, but on a different level. And they're fun things to navigate. It's just new things to navigate that adds just even more depth and more love and even more support. She's going into a management role that she hasn't been in before, and she's managing 50 staff, and watching her navigate the stresses of that and the pressures of that, and how her nervous system is still trying to come to terms with constantly having something on your mind and things to do. And she woke up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. and had to write something down, and it's interesting to watch that, because it's okay, cool, I fucking get it, I understand it, I understand those pressures of that world, through beta and through engineering, where there's constantly things on your mind. It's how can I just support you a little bit more in that? And it's literally just been the little things.
It's just that and the support, right? But now she's actually understanding you a little bit better.
Totally.
Because you're welcome to my world. And it is that. It's having your teammate. Yeah. It's and just having someone to lean on.
Yeah.
Even when you don't want to. That's the times that you got to. And it navigating the long distance thing me and Showie having. Long distance, not living in the same city is a bit of a challenge. And I know it's a lot more challenging for her than it is for me, because she's going through such a big stressful part of her life right now. And she's got 3 kids, her daughter's turning into a teenager today, and changing schools, and she's moving house from the last 7 years, and then navigating a co-parenting situation, and then she runs her own businesses and navigating money and all of that. I know it would really help her and us if I was in the same area. But in saying that, the things that we're creating in our life, I don't think it would make much difference anyways. I'm at home only 2 days a week, most weeks. Some weeks are longer than others. So yeah, there's always going to be, it's just choose your hard, I guess. But you choose the person, and then the hard's going to come.
Totally.
And then life is long. It's not always going to be the same.
Totally. And it is. It's as you say, it's that conscious choice every single day. And there's baseline to it, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that might be struggling with relationships, and it's the ultimate thing that it comes down to is communication. Communicating, as you said before, you've written down what you want, you've written down what you need. She's let you know what she wants, she let you knows what you need. Ultimately, me and Van totally understand that now, but it's even as we navigate new situations, new environments, it's okay, cool, how is our relationship constantly shifting and changing? All right, we're going through these stressful periods at the time. Let's just bring love back to us, where all of our attention is going back to us. Let's not explore out and everything like that. And we will revisit that when we have the capability to revisit that, where it's not actually taking away or creates insecurity. And it's that's the beauty of it, because it's you're constantly shifting as the wind changes, instead of just being directly on a course. No, this is what we've decided. This is what it needs to be. It's as life shifts, as our energy shifters, as our viewpoint in the things that are important now shift, it's no, our relationship can shift as well, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I don't really think I've truly understood the power of a relationship until the last few years.
Yeah,
it's definitely now, but it's not something that was ever a high priority in my life. Because my go-to is just like I'll just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always got people. I'll always attract people around me. That's just who I am. But getting into the crux of the deepening into love and vulnerability in a relationship, and holding it. You know, like I feel like that's our role as men. We've got to hold it. We've got to hold it. And we can wince every now and then, but we can't wince a lot.
No.
You know?
Totally. Because if you're wincing a lot, then they're not going to trust that you're going to hold it. And like, that's where we're at the moment. I'm like, I fucking got this. And it's like, it's not even a lie. It's like, I got this. Like,
got it.
You know, you don't worry. Like, it's all good. Yeah. Like, there's challenges, but it's like.
But how much more, what's the best way to put this? How much safer do you feel in taking risks when you've got a fucking woman behind you just giving you ultimate, like, fucking A, go get it. Like, go get it. Like, my risk taking is becoming far, far more because
you got someone to support you in it and like be excited with you about it, but then also if something goes wrong, got someone to help you lick the wounds.
For sure,
you know, and knowing that ultimately it's like, like Van don't want to live a boring life. Like she's like cool, I wanted to do this job, it's really fucking hard and shit, and it's like it's not actually the purpose that I want to do. So it's like, okay, cool, like it's a means to an end for now. Life will evolve and adapt as it needs to, because ultimately I want to be in a position where she doesn't have to work.
No,
you know?
100%,
so that
thing.
she can live the life that she wants to do. She can do what a woman is meant to do. You know, you can take that in any fucking context that you want to. Call me a misogynist or pick or whatever it is, but it's like, I mean, to be working 9 to 5. Go
and be your beautiful, artistic, flowy, capable muse, you know, and that's why I really see Showie. She's really become a strong muse for me. It's like whenever I feel like I want to like drop down, and we all go through our seasons and things like that, but you know, she's working her ass off for an epic life, and she's got 3 people who rely on her as well, and there's a lot I'm learning from that. That I can really take into my life, and it's seeping out into my life already. I can already see it in my friendships, even in our friendship and our growth of our business, and you know, it's I've got other things outside that mean just as much as other things in my life.
Totally. There's a little change in purpose. There's like something else that you're like, okay, cool, like
but it is
to care about.
Fucking A, but it is a fucking drive. There's a drive in me to be like, I'm gonna get so fucking wealthy that you never have to fucking worry about it again, because the only real fucking struggles are in life at the level all revolve around not having enough wealth.
Totally.
You know, you're still gonna have challenges, but if your body's in good shape, your mind, you know, you're working with that every day. Your addictions are you know, under control, and I don't mean, you know, drug and alcohol. I mean like just all the little things that we're addicted to each day. You're getting a bit of a handle on that. Then the challenges that are going to come, you can tackle them a lot easier with more gusto.
Totally.
You know. Totally. And so I think that's where sitting in this beautiful relationship is it's growth, man. It's constant growth, and looking forward to it all. You know, it's like we're going into like our first rounds of conflict and navigating that and holding each other in that and you know, holding each other to our highest standards. And this is what I asked for in Lynn. I'm like, you realize my potential, you know, like hold me into the highest standard of it. And I keep going back to, have you seen that movie 300?
Yeah.
You know, when Leonidas, he's just before he's about to go against the Senate and take his 300 soldiers to the what do they call it? It's the wherever they're going to go.
It's a path or gate or something like that.
It's Hell's Gate or
Hell's
something.
Gate, something like that.
And the night before, or actually no, let's take it back further. So when the person comes to deliver the message, holding the king's heads, and they're standing at that pit, you know, and he's like, "You bring the dead kings to my city steps," and just before that he kind of like just like looks over at his queen,
And she's
and
like,
he gets the nod from her, and then he's like, right, I got the fucking backing of my queen.
totally.
And so then he kicks him into the pit.
Yeah.
And so for me, that it's like that king queen, and I know it's brutally used in all neo-modernism, spiritualism, and things like that. But for me, the archetype of the king and queen is so prevalent, and you can take it and you can create it in your own way as any type you want. And then you go into the scene at night where he's standing there and he's naked, he's looking out over his lands, and she's like, oh, like, has the word of the oracle taken your want from me? He's like, no word of a drunken adolescent girl could ever take my want from my queen, you know. and then you know, they go in this beautiful lovemaking scene, which is very powerful. And then even the next day, she's like, oh, like, you know, come back on your shield. You know, like, still gave him still backed him to die.
Totally.
You know,
like, that's how much I back, and the mission that you're on. That's, I know how important it is to you. If you die in that, then that's okay. Yeah, because I'd rather you do that than not pursue the mission at all.
For sure, because that's who you are. It's like you are the king of this realm, you know, but the queen is listened to. You know, there's no higher or lower power in that.
Totally.
There is just difference. There is like
understanding role.
Yeah, that's it.
And going back for you know what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, but it's just going back to, like, let them know where you're at and what's going on. You know, what's the mission? Where you at? Like, what's actually going on? And it's like, I check in with Fan all the time with Web Beta and stuff, because she doesn't know what the day-to-day is, but you know, keeping up with like what's going on and the things that we're pursuing, and you know, the things that are ultimately going to have an impact on her as well. And like, you know, that's just to let her know, like, yeah, this is where we're at. Like, this is the fucking successes. These are the things that we're challenging with. This is what we're going after when it comes to money and finances and things along those lines. And be like, what do you think? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. And this is where I think I beautifully set it up before me and Shawi started really getting deeper together. Because I was like, hey, look, you know, like, if you want to get into this with me, like, this is already what I've got going on. Like, my calendar's booked out for the rest of the year. It's going to be the same for the next year. The path and what I'm creating and what I'm building, it's big, and I will create time for us, but it's not going to be in the everyday. And you know, where you are and where I am, like, it's going to be a while before we can even think about moving in together or taking that step. So if that's not something you're on board with, well, then that's okay. But totally. and that was really early on, and even now, like, you know, if we go and get a few days away together, and you know, it's hard for her, but she goes, well, I understand it, you know, because the communication was already there early on. It's not like I'm just pulling this out and just going, oh, look, you know,
hey, look,
like,
I don't have time for you.
Yeah, for sure. It was like, okay, well, from between here and now, I'm going to see you twice in the next 3 months, you know, like, I'll make more time. Like, I looked at my calendar, I'm like, no, I can make things here and here, but it's just about in that, and you're right, it's just in the laying it out. So, but if you don't have a bit of a plan of where you're going, then you don't know how to speak about what's kind of coming up and happening. So it can maybe feel like it's kind of popping up as things coming in. So it's that communication aspect. You're totally right. The informing of what's going on, because it affects them.
Totally. Yeah. It's a beautiful life.
Yeah, it is a beautiful life, man. What
do you think your like biggest lesson for yourself, or even about yourself, has been from being in this relationship that you've actually ultimately been looking for a while, or like knowing that's there and just knowing that other ones have not really quite hit the mark?
I think it was just a really nice okay, so for me to be in this container the way that it is, as consciously and as open and as accepting and everything it is, I had to get through some baseline stuff, mother wounds, father wounds, past relationship wounds, patterns, whatever it is. So it was a nice little earmark of like where I am on my own pathway and journey. To be able to call in and hold this.
Yeah, because if you hadn't done that work, you probably wouldn't be able to hold it.
No,
you'd see it and be like, oh,
it would have been
like a wince.
Yeah, it would have been a whirlwind 3 months intense thing, like it has been, maybe a little bit more, and then would have been like, and then let go. But no, I think the holding thing is the piece de resistance, I would say.
Yeah, like holding that thread, holding the line. I like it. I love.
What do you think? What do you think your current learnings and lessons are in your marriage?
Current? Current is currently just like supporting Van in her pursuit, and like seeing the importance of that for her. To like knock that off and being like, okay, I've had that experience and this is what I'm learning from it, and actually like watching her grow and helping her grow through that as she puts herself into like a management role where she's like taking control of a venue and a business, where she has so many different things to navigate and understand and learn about, and actually just like supporting her in that,
and getting okay with not being liked.
Totally.
It's it.
Totally, being the bad guy. But it's like ultimately it's great because like what they've brought her in to do is what she's actually really good at when she needs to be. And it's 50 staff. There's a lot of people to have to understand and
it's
put
lots,
in
man.
place.
Especially that demographic. Like that last role I had for a few months last year. I had like 80 staff of the same age demographic, and it's tough, man. It's tough. Fucking millennials.
Tough.
No, we're millennials. What are they? Gen Zers.
Yeah.
Gen
Zers. Yeah, and it's and like watching her in the success of it as well, because she's like stepped into a role literally at the busiest time of year for them, and she's fucking done really, really well. They've had the like biggest holiday period that they've had in like 5 years, and all the different metrics that the company use to track the sort of success of the manager and the bonuses that they get. She's like knocking them all on the head. So it's like it's really cool to like watch her thrive, but then also support her in the challenges that come up with her. I'm like loving it. It's really cool to like watch her thrive in business as well and like learn all these different things. And
because it's cool to watch her like implement things that I've taught her, things that you've taught her, and she's just putting them in, and things are happening. And so like over the last couple of years of her like teaching how to like negotiate a contract here, or just trying to like how to just get somebody to sell something a little bit different. You can see her putting them in, and it's like do. She's getting it.
It's dope. So it's cool. It's cool to support her in the pursuit of her own successes. It's really fun. And even in that, like just helping out with the little things. I know that I understand how she operates when there's a lot on her plate, so it's just like supporting in all the other things, because like ultimately I make my own time, so I can make time for the little things that make time easier for her. Knowing that that's not going to be forever, but at the same time I don't mind doing it because I know it's going to take pressure off her, and I love it
for sure.
So it's fun to watch her thrive.
Cool, man.
Life is beautiful.
Oh, it is. Even sit here once a week and we get to talk about something like this, and it's like it opens up and you're like, oh yeah, actually it's all good.
So beautiful, people. If you are in a relationship, it's really just about communication. Ultimately that's what comes down to communicating, whether it's verbal, non-verbal, understanding your partner, understanding their traumas, what they've been through, having the opportunity to actually see this as an opportunity and a vehicle for growth, and not sort of shying away from love and conflict and all the things that relationships can and will bring.
And if you're like me and your embedded go-to is to pull back, that's the time you step forward. If you're feeling mucky because you're going, you might have got a little conflict or something, and their love language is touch and yours is touch, well then fucking touch it, you know. Even though there's part of you is like, I don't want to, like, oh, I can do this.
Okay.
Okay.
Let the nervous system settle into that.
Yeah. And then I tell you, all of this, then the sex just becomes infinitely incredible. And when you grow that way, bring some magic. Hey team, thank you so much for hanging out with us again this week, and yeah, we appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for listening. Share it away. Get this into listeners. Get this into the more ears of people.
Get this into.
But we'll be here same time next week. You know we will.
Regardless.
Exactly.
All right, beautiful people. We'll see you next time.
Sure.